What is up, Minties? This is the Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition. And today, travel back to the summer of 1994 when the Phalanx Covenant event was going through all the X titles. And with that being said, let's take an advanced look at the X-Men Milestones Phalanx Covenant from Marvel Comics. So please stay tuned. Okay, now before we get started, of course I want to give a big thank you and shout out to David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending us an advanced copy of this milestone. The milestone will be available on December 18th, and it does retail for $39.99. Now, this has been previously collected in a hardcover format, oversized hardcover, and also in some of the collections like the Cable and X-Force Omnibus. Now, if you aren't familiar with the Marvel milestone line, this is what it looks like. It's pretty much the big events that happen to all our mutants, whether it's crossover events or things like the Dark Phoenix Saga. They have been pumping out these books for a couple of months now, and I've done videos of all these if you want to check them out on the channel. But let's focus on this. Now, as I talk about the book, I am going to refrain from talking about spoilers, or try to for the most part. There are a couple things I need to mention that I can't not mention, such as this event is the reason why we have Generation X. So let's do something first. As I mentioned, this was previously collected in this oversized hardcover format. And there are some differences other than the fact that this has been out of print for a few years. Okay, so what are the differences? Well, for example, this has 552 pages while this has 488 pages. And the contents are a little bit different. This book right here collects Uncanny X-Men 306, 311, and 314, 316 and 317, Excalibur 78 through 82, X-Men 36 and 37, X-Factor 106, X-Force 38, Wolverine 85, and Cable number 16. Now, this book collects Uncanny X-Men 305 and 306, 312 and 313, 316 and 317, Excalibur 78 through 80, 82, X-Men 36 and 37, X-Factor 106, X-Force 38, and Wolverine 85 and Cable 16. So there are some differences in what the collections are. This has wonderful artwork by the amazing Joe Madureira, Joe Mad for short. It is written mainly by Scott Lobdell and Fabian Nicieza. There are others like J.M. DeMatteis that wrote some of this stuff. But for the most part, Scott Lobdell was at the helm of doing this stuff. Oh, and of course, Larry Hama, who did the Wolverine and Cable issue. Originally, these came out, like I said, during the summer of 1994. I remember because I was a sophomore in high school, and I wanted to get these covers right here with the microchip, glossy-looking microchip, and then there was the standard edition. It's this beautiful Joe Mad artwork. However, oh wait, I think I just aged myself. Yeah. I'm sure you all probably knew. There's beautiful artwork in here by Andy Kubert, as well as Ken Lashley, Steven Scroggs, Adam Kubert. And yes, as I mentioned earlier, this is a crossover event through all those X titles. And it's the techno-organic creatures known as the Phalanx that are created by some of the anti-mutant bigots that live here on Earth. Some of them making a return that probably had been dead for a long time, and I don't want to spoil as to who they are, but they are behind the scenes. And the cool thing about this was, okay, there are two cool things. Oh, Steve Epting also drew some of this stuff. The cool thing I've always thought was that the Phalanx kind of decided to break away from their human bigots that created them, and they're like, nah, we're kind of going to do our own thing. We're going to take over the planet. Look at this amazing art here by Adam Kubert. It's crazy. So this is Warlock and Doug Locke's race. Doug Locke at the time had merged, or Doug Ramsey, sorry, had merged with Warlock, who had lost his life in the crossover event Extinction Agenda. And now he is in the pages of, actually he's in the pages of Excalibur, so it's this character right here, this guy right here. During this time he is merged with Warlock. So it's a wonderful event, and the other thing that they did, Joe Mad, by the way, and this is one of the few times when he was inked by Terry Austin. And man, Terry Austin, love that guy when he was with John Byrne. Love his inks. He is a phenomenal inker. Just the amount of details that he adds to everybody's art. This kind of reminded me, Joe Mad is known known as the guy that brought like an anime style to American comics. But during this time, it was more like Arthur Adams, to me at least. So the other thing that this did was introduce us to a set of characters that would be the next generation of X-Men, and they were known as Generation X. They are kidnapped. They're a bunch of kids that are kidnapped by the Phalanx. Some of them are siblings to existing X-Men, and it's about how they try to break out. I love the way that this is done, by the way. I think this was an original idea for the X-Men animated series, where Jubilee just walks in the mansion one day, and where she thinks she's talking to the X-Men. Here, let me get to that issue. It's actually this issue right here I was flipping through. So it's where Jubilee, the idea was like Jubilee walks into the mansion, but the X-Men are not X-Men. They are like Skrulls, right? Like, or some creatures that taken over their bodies. They are not who we thought. So Sean Cassidy at the time, Banshee, was with them, and he realizes that all the X-Men are not X-Men at all. They are these creatures known as the Phalanx. But he didn't know that at the time. And the only person that is still around that is not Phalanx are Sabretooth and Emma Frost, the White Queen. So this not only established the characters of Generation X, but it also helped redeem the characters of Emma Frost and Sabretooth as much as you can redeem that character. But this is the wonderful crossover. I really like this. It reminds me of being in high school. Now, one more thing I was going to mention is that this has also been collected in, or partially, in the Cable and X-Force Omnibus, if you own this. It has parts of this, like the Cable and X-Force part and Excalibur and X-Factor. Here's Steve Skroce. Let's look at the back. Okay, so there are no extras in the back. It looks like the extras are right here in between the ending of a comic and the beginning of another comic book, so in between the covers, you get the extras that they normally put in the back of these books. And that's really all I can say about this, because I don't want to spoil anything. And that is X-Men Milestones Phalanx Covenant. And you can purchase this book from cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. Cheap Graphic Novels Black Friday sale is continuing all through December, so there's still time to save up to 95% off thousands of books. Additional books will be added throughout the month, so be sure to check back often and stay tuned to CGN on social media to be the first to know when the new books have been added to the sale. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the contents of the book. Let me know in the comments down below if you're picking up this milestone line, or if you've never read the Phalanx Covenant, and if you've only heard about it, or who the character of Douglock is, if you didn't know anything about that, or who the character of Warlock was. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Please don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, and remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint.